Good afternoon. Welcome once again to week 7 of Capital Clarity. This program has been going on for several years now. It was the brainchild of then Lieutenant Governor Janice McGeehan and then Representative Dorothy Moon. Idaho Freedom Foundation came on board right away, made it happen, and has been carrying it on ever since. And it's my pleasure to stand before you here today and welcome you. We have a great discussion here today, but before we start, if you aren't getting emails from Idaho Freedom Foundation, then you should be. If you take your phone out, go to idahofreedom.org. There will be a pop-up right there to sign up for the email list. If you are interested in learning more or donating, we have some literature in the back. Contrary to what you might hear from detractors on social media and in the mainstream press, IFF is fully supported by donors like you. It is funded by people who care about liberty in the gem state and care about the work that it's going to take to continue that liberty onto the next generation and those after that. So one of the most important components of liberty is the right to self-defense. Our founders recognized that a firearm is a necessary tool for civilization. Now, you hear some people complain about how guns cause violence, which obviously all of us here, I think, know that that's absurd. A gun is a tool to carry out the will of the person that wields it. And our founding fathers used that tool to win their independence, which is what they've passed on to us today. And they recognized its importance in maintaining that independence and freedom. It was so important that they put it in the Bill of Rights. Right after the right to freedom of speech and freedom of religion, before the right to keep soldiers from being quartered in your house and unreasonable search and seizure, you have it right there, the Second Amendment to the Constitution, that the right of the people to bear arms shall not be infringed. And yet, our governments keep trying to infringe on it. Everywhere you look, there's some common sense measure to restrict your right to self-defense, your right to bear arms. Now, the Second Amendment is actually one of the success stories of the conservative movement over the last 50 years. If you go online, there's a map of constitutional carry. Back in the 80s, zilch. You had to ask permission from your government to carry a gun in public. And thanks to the work of organizations like the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, that's now more than half the states. So that's an unqualified success. But we must be vigilant because they're still coming. My own home state of Washington, it used to be pretty libertarian on guns, but then they started introducing common sense measures, common sense background checks and red flag laws and ammunition taxes. And now they've basically restricted them to the point where it's almost banned, and they'll keep going. So you have to stop them before it looks like it's a crisis. And that's why I'm so thankful for the work that the Second Amendment Alliance has done. I won't take up too much more of Greg's thunder, but I would like to introduce the president of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, Greg Pruett.
I told Brian, the only thing I don't like about Capital Clarity is I'm a walker. When I walk when I talk, and so standing in one place is like torture for me, but that's okay because I love being here. So we're gonna go through a number of pieces of legislation that are working their way through the Capitol. So I want to give you guys updates on all of that stuff that is happening. We're going to talk about some controversial stuff and some stuff that's come out lately that I know some of you are here to talk about. So I want to make sure we have the full hour to talk about guns, which is fantastic. My wife always says, "How in the world can you talk about guns for that long?" Like, trust me, I can BS my way for 4 hours if you need me to. Me and Dustin do it on the Freedom Bros all the time, just ramble for hours on end. So anyway, I'm really happy to be here. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Greg Pruett. I am the founder and president of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. I started the organization back in 2012 with the primary purpose of passing constitutional carry. At the time, there was 4 states that had it. Small correction to Brian's history there. Vermont has never had a permit system. They were the only ones back in the 80s that still had constitutional carry. I started the organization with the intent of giving you guys something that you had to call your own. Okay, this isn't my organization. We're a public nonprofit. This is your guys' organization. Okay, we fight for you. We fight for Idaho gun owners. We don't let any national organization tell us what to do. Okay, nobody knows what's happening better on the ground here in Idaho than you guys, than this organization. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want to go to Washington, D.C. to get permission to hold a gun rally, to run a bill, to go fight at the city level, the county level, the state level. We do it all with Idaho Second Amendment Alliance, and that's what makes us really unique, because we are not controlled by anybody else. We try to do what the gun owners want to do. So with that, over the years, we have passed a number of pieces of legislation, and somebody was actually talking to me today about the difference between when I started doing this in 2012 and what it's like now. And I said, it's the same. It really is. The players kind of move and shift around. It's definitely gotten more conservative here, but the fight to get a dang gun bill, like a solid, really good gun bill passed here, has not changed from day one when I started. It's the same fight. And that's due in large part because little by little, we have slowly exposed that this place is not run by the type of Republicans that you think it's run by. Okay, I don't remember the name of the organization that just put out that report a couple months ago, where they basically said the Idaho Senate is controlled by Democrats. That was their report based on what the population of the state is versus what the voting record of the people we keep putting back in this Capitol are. And so that was, it was no surprise to me. I was like, well, of course. But I think it's been a little bit of a wake-up call for a lot of folks. So what I want to do is we've got, look, I was in the military. I freaking hate PowerPoint. But in order to keep me on topic a little bit and make sure I don't forget, it's like a slide with 1 or 2 sentences on it. So don't worry. There's not 100 slides here with like 50 words on it. I can't. Which one is it, Brian? Is it this one?
I think so.
Okay, well, sort of. You can kind of see, but unless you can adjust that a little bit. Okay, so one of our primary purposes right now, what we've been fighting for really since constitutional carry was passed, is expanding stand your ground here in Idaho. Okay, there are 3 pillars to stand your ground law. The first is civil immunity. Okay, so that if you shoot and kill somebody that's coming into your home, their family can't come after you and try and bankrupt you when all you did was defend yourself, right? So there's civil immunity. There's no duty to retreat. Okay, that's been in case law since 1904, really long time. That was a huge component of stand your ground. The third one is the one that we're missing. Okay, the third one is called criminal immunity. And the goal is to prevent situations like Kyle Rittenhouse. Now, you may not like Kyle Rittenhouse. You may think that the 17-year-old kid never should have had a rifle, running around Wisconsin trying to clean up graffiti and help his community. That's fine. You can have that opinion. However, video evidence, okay, not eyewitness testimony, the actual video evidence was very clear that kid defended himself. In fact, he did it better than I think most people could, because anybody that was kind of coming at him and he pointed his rifle at, and if that person backed away, he didn't shoot him. It was actually really impressive under that much pressure, having no escape route. You're surrounded by people who are trying to probably kill you, and he only ended up shooting the people who were literally attacking him. There was no reason to prosecute that kid, but they did it politically, right? They wanted to send a message. And so our goal is we don't want you rotting in a prison or a jail cell for 6 months while the government's just like, yeah, we'll find something eventually. Okay, that's what we're trying to avoid. And so what the bill does that Senator Lenny is working on, and that last year, I think we had a third of the legislature last year that co-sponsored the bill, and we couldn't get it past a print hearing. Okay, Senator Guthrie, the State Affairs Committee chairman, would not give it more than a print hearing. So what the bill does is it says within 2 weeks of you being charged and accused of defending yourself or whatever the case may be, you have a right to invoke a hearing that puts all the pressure on the government where it should be. Like, okay, you're saying I did something horrible and I defended myself, and you're saying I murdered them. Where's the evidence? You've got to show the judge something so that you're not just sitting in prison or in jail and rotting while they try to find something. We're going, you got 2 weeks to figure something out, okay? And if not, then they can't hold you anymore, okay? That's one of the big provisions in the bill. The other one that is probably, it seems to be the biggest hiccup, and I'm not really sure why, because they have this in Washington State. But we put a provision in our bill that says, if that prosecutor decides to move forward and come after you anyway, and if a jury of your peers finds you innocent by reason of self-defense, the judge has the ability to award attorney's fees paid for by the county. And this is where the big hiccup is, right? Because the government doesn't want to be responsible for the trial, right? They don't want to do that. And so they have basically said, well, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to, but they have that provision in Washington State, for crying out loud. And to me, I'm thinking, if I'm Kyle Rittenhouse and I have defended myself properly, like his life is ruined to some extent. Okay. Now he's probably going to get a big payday from the media for libel and slander. But like, there's probably not a person in this room that wants to shoot another person. Like, I have no desire to do that at all. Would I do it if somebody broke into my home to defend myself and my family? Of course. But I'm also a human. I'm also a Christian. And I don't think God wants us to have to do any of that, right? But I'm going to defend myself. And so that part of it, I'm just going, you've destroyed yourself by having to defend yourself, even if you're in the right. It's a lifelong, if you talk to people who have had to defend themselves, they see the image of that person all the time in their dreams, or they see it, or they think about it and go, man, I didn't want to have to do that, right? So this person's already kind of mentally ruined from having to defend themselves. And now some political prosecutor, maybe a George Soros prosecutor, because he's buying up prosecutors all over the country and in prosecutorial races because nobody ever pays attention to them. They want to bury you because you're a gun owner, right? They want to bury you because of maybe who you shot. And so our goal is to say, look, you've already ruined their life. Give the judge the opportunity to do something. Now, people have asked me, well, what if somebody is guilty and the government screws up? Sure, that's a possibility. Okay, but I would rather have an innocent person go free, and at the risk of, some criminal may get away someday. That's a possibility. Get a better prosecutor. Okay, get better judges that can see through all that stuff. So that is our first big bill that we're trying to get to a print hearing. Again, we have a massive amount of co-sponsors, and in fact, I know some legislators are in here right now that I think you're a co-sponsor, correct? On the Stand Your Ground. She doesn't remember. I don't remember. There's a long list. So if you talk to Christy Zito, you did it. Okay, there you go. That's probably the best answer regardless. So we're hoping to get a print hearing. We're still trying to work with Senator Guthrie to give it a print hearing. This bill here is the Gatson flag license plate bill. And I actually told Senator Nichols last night, I'm like, look, I love your bill and I also hate it. And it's actually supposed to be, it might even be getting debated on right now. I'm not really sure. She was supposed to text me if there was a result on it. But here's the thing. It's a fun bill. I like the Gatson flag. I think most of us do. The proceeds of the license plate, the section that has to be diverted somewhere, is supposed to go to the education fund for firearms. Okay. A few years ago, the legislature said, hey, here's this elective course you can do to teach kids about firearms. I'm not even sure it should be an elective course, honestly. With all the crap that we teach kids, maybe we ought to teach them some firearm safety and just make it mandatory. Just a thought. Anyway, so the money from the Gatson flag license plate bill will go there. But I said, Tammy, look, this is the type of bill that it's fun. And because it's you, I'm like, hey, this is awesome. But this is the type of bill that usually the establishment runs in an election year to try and get something through that's gun related. And so, anyway, I told her, I said, if this is the establishment, I'd probably be mocking it and mercilessly, but I know where her heart is. So anyway, so that is literally on the Senate floor right now. They may have already voted. I don't have any messages, but fantastic bill. And if you guys have questions about these, I want to make sure we get through. The last two topics are a little bit more controversial. So I want to make sure we get through everything. And then if you have questions, we can have a big chat about any of these bills. Okay. Oh boy. Okay. So the Firearm Preemption bill. I think most of you are probably aware of what happened with the Idaho Supreme Court last year with the Sandpoint case that we lost in the Idaho Supreme Court. has opened up, and it's fascinating to me that people don't understand the gravity of the situation we're in right now. So firearm preemption, the entire purpose of that law is to prevent cities and counties from just creating their own gun-free zones and regulating firearms. And most states have it so that you're not driving from where I live in Rigby, through Pocatello, where it's a little bit more liberal and they've banned guns. And then you get up to Boise where they ban guns. And then I get up to, somewhere else in northern Idaho, Bonner's Ferry or whatever, where guns are all perfectly fine. And so our state back in 2008 said, hey, look, we're going to make sure that everything's uniform throughout the state. And so nothing is going to pass at the local level. That was the whole point of it. And then in 2019, he wasn't a senator then, Scott Herndon had gone to a park in Sandpoint, and that park had banned firearms. And we were going, hey, wait a minute here. Like, if the city can't regulate firearms, how can they give that power and authority to some private organization who can then ban guns on public property? I'm like, that seems insane. That doesn't make any sense. It's still public property, even though a private organization is leasing it or permitting for it or whatever the case may be. So we went all the way up to the Idaho Supreme Court, and they disagreed. They were like, oh, it's private property. Like, I see, but I don't think that that's going to be the case. If I hold a gun rally at the park here at Cecil Andrus Park that I believe is controlled by Boise, and I said that LGBT members and Muslims and all these other groups could not carry inside or could not come inside the park, you're telling me that the Supreme Court's going to be like, oh yeah, that's fine. It's private property. Everybody in here knows that that's not true, right? Everybody in here knows that that would go to court and we would lose. And so we're going, but that's, if you've been a gun owner for a long time, the courts have always discriminated against us, even though our thing's actually in the Constitution. Okay. The courts have always come out on the wrong side of the Second Amendment for the most part. And so right now we have to figure out how to fix this. And the easy way, and the way that I would prefer, and the way that we're hoping a bill is coming through the House side here shortly, is that if you are a city or county, you cannot lease, rent, permit, or whatever this public property without them understanding they cannot restrict the right to keep and bear arms. Like, you can't do it. Just make it clear and basically overturn what the Idaho Supreme Court is saying. Okay. Now, we get that passed. Somebody, some city or county is probably going to sue at some point, right? Or some private organization is going to sue. And we're right back where we started. Look, we lost at the Idaho Supreme Court 0-5. 0-5, not 2-3. Okay, like the abortion issue was really close too, if you didn't remember. That was 3-2, very, very close. Take this opportunity to say we've got to pay a lot more attention to who's getting on our Supreme Court here. We are in one of the reddest states in the country, and there wasn't one dissenter that was like, yeah, that doesn't really make sense. Okay. Our litigators and litigators that we worked with that argued the case all across the country, everybody was like, what is happening here? Like, this is insane. And now there's already other states that are dealing with the ramifications of this, that private organizations in other states are going, well, hey, look what happened in Idaho. Let's go ahead and do that. Somebody asked me, are we going to appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court? And I said, not a chance. I said, quite frankly, the U.S. Supreme Court is a crapshoot. It's just not. I mean, even Trump's appointees are probably much better than Hillary's would have been, but even some of them are like dissenting at times and kind of shocking conservatives going, hey, what the heck happened here? I said, so that's number one. Number two, our attorney, Alexandria Kincaid, if you don't know her, or she was our attorney. We're trying to get under contract again, but she wrote off like $30,000 to $40,000 in legal fees for you guys. I mean, she was in it to win it. Okay. So if you ever see her, please tell her thank you, because she did us a huge favor. So I can't really ask her to be like, I know if she was willing to and was like, oh yeah, I'll just write it all off, then sure, we'll go ahead and do that. But there's no way I could ask her to, continue down that path. So the bill that we're trying to do right now would be basically step one. And step one is parks, farmers markets, all these places that are just always open to the public. We're trying to make sure that they understand that's the case. The hard part, and the part that we were having a hard time with even before the whole Sandpoint issue, was places like the Fort Idaho Center, okay, that are ran privately, but are still technically public property, right? That's the Fort Idaho Center is owned by the city of Nampa. And that's been the hard ones to crack because in my view, if it's public property, it's public property. Whether it's a park or whether you're renting or leasing a building from the city, if that's the case, then the city of Nampa should just sell the freaking building, right? Let the people at the Fort Idaho Center buy it and then we're done, right? And then they can do whatever they want. And so that's probably going to be a fight down the road. Right now, we're trying to stop the bleeding. We're trying to make sure that in Boise especially, all it would take is Mayor McLean right now finding some private nonprofit to run all of the parks in Boise. She could do it right now and say, this private Friends of Boise Parks is going to run all of our parks and they can ban guns. And there's nothing, the Supreme Court is saying that that's okay. So it's one of those things where I'm trying to wake people up and go, you guys have got to understand the severity of the situation because I don't want it to get to where somebody gets their firearm banned from in a public park at some private event and then somebody gets shot and killed. And then we end up in another court case and then maybe the legislature finally acts at that point. I don't want this place to be reactive, which this legislature is most of the time. They are reactive to what is happening rather than being proactive. Okay. All right. This bill, I don't know if John is still in here. I think he left. Okay. Firearms manufacturers being sued here in the state of Idaho. Now, this bill does not do that directly. Okay. Understand that. If you don't know what this bill is, this has to deal with cell phones and pornography for underage or for minors. Okay. And what the bill does is the legislature is trying to say to the cell phone companies, to the manufacturers, in order to protect kids, we want you have to turn on there's a filter on your phone for pornography, but it's turned off when you get it. And what they're saying is, well, if a minor buys a phone, then we want to make sure that it's turned on automatically and stuff. And there's a whole bunch of nightmare, like bad ideas in this stupid bill. But for our organization, we opposed it because there's also a provision in there that allows the state to sue the manufacturer of the cell phone. Okay. Understand this. In Idaho, we don't see gun control bills, like hardly ever. Like the Democrats don't even bother. Even the ones in like deep blue Boise, if you go to other states, the Democrats, even if there's not a chance, they'll still introduce a gun control bill, right, for their base. They don't even do it here, like ever. And so we have to be on the lookout for stuff like this where we go, hey, wait a minute here. The legislature is now saying it's okay to sue the manufacturer of a device that had nothing to do with creating the pornography. I'm like, can you get the connection that I'm trying to make here? And they were all looking at me like, what do you mean? We don't understand. I'm like, okay, so let me get out the crayons and color it for you here so you understand very clearly. You are laying the groundwork for suing firearms manufacturers for the misuse of our products, right? That's already happening in other states. It's already happening. And I'm going, what are you doing? Oh, well, it just says that the AG can go after this. I'm like, oh my gosh. Like, okay, what if we get a bad AG? Okay. What if a court looks at this and goes, well, clearly the legislature feels that suing manufacturers is okay for the misuse of a product. And so we came out opposed and said, look, if you take that out of there, it's still a crappy bill. But if you take it out, our organization's out. Like we have no dog in the fight. But that's the type, that is the type of little stuff that we are looking out for all the time, buried in these bills. And look, the bill sponsor, I don't think intended that. This one, did it turn on? Did I turn it on somehow? You good? Okay. Get a taller mic. My back already hurts. So yeah, we were on the lookout for that. I actually called Rob at Boise Black Rifle and said, hey man, this is the type of stuff I need you guys to get involved with. Like this may not damage you for a long time. It may be 10 years or it may be next year. I said, we don't know, but Rob, you've got to get involved and stop this kind of stuff from moving forward in the Capitol. I even talked to the bill sponsor. We let the Senate know, hey, don't pass this with this in there. You are laying the groundwork for it. They didn't care. They passed it. Okay, so right now it's sitting in the House State Affairs Committee where we have been bombarding Chairman Crane's committee with hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands of emails saying, don't let this go forward. Okay, so that's the type of stuff we're on the lookout for. You can't see the top there, but it's Senator Dan Foreman has a campus carry reform bill. This has been an intro. Most of you, does anybody remember Senator Bart Davis? I know a couple of you remember Senator Bart Davis. Okay, a handful of you. So when we were trying to deal with campus carry years and years ago, like 2013, 2014 timeframe, Senator Bart Davis was the Senate Majority Leader, and his son was killed on campus by his roommate. Okay, they were both drunk, I believe, if I remember correctly. They were both drunk, and Senator Davis's son threw a beer at his roommate, and his roommate pulled out a gun, and shot, and killed him. And that took place in February of whatever year that he was killed. And so you can imagine that trying to pass campus carry with Senator Davis as the Senate Majority Leader during February, like every year, right? Every time we're doing a session, he's reminded that his kid was killed on campus. And so that was just an insane fight. And eventually they got through what I thought was not a very good version of campus carry. Way too much control for the universities and colleges. And again, way too many restrictions. You can't even like have it in your dorm. I'm like, well, where are you going to put your gun? If you're a college kid and you're allowed and you can carry, you don't want to leave it in your car because that's stupid. So anyway, so Dan Foreman's bill is basically saying, look, we're taking the power back. The universities and colleges should not be allowed to regulate. These are public places. Again, why do they get an exception to the preemption statute, basically? So really good bill. I have high doubts that it's going anywhere this session, but one that we support. Okay, I know a lot of people have questions about this, and I'll be, I guess, just upfront that this is the NRA's bill, okay? The NRA hates us. That's fine. They don't ever talk to us unless they have to. That's okay, because we don't compromise, and that's a big part of it, why we're so hated here. But the school carry bill that Representative Hill has introduced, HB 415, everybody's asked where it is. The answer is, I don't know. The rumor is it's on the Senate side, and it has not had a hearing in the Senate State Affairs where Senator Guthrie is. The rumor I heard, okay, again, a rumor, is that Senator Guthrie won't give it a hearing unless they add a bunch of training requirements in. And what was interesting is I'm kind of shocked that they went for this issue. This is a very hot topic, right? School carrying in K through 12, like it just sets off everybody. I'm all for it. In fact, I am a much of a constitutional carry. Okay, if you carry everywhere else, I don't. If you carry on the school, it makes no. There's kids at the school. There's kids at Walmart. There's kids at the movie theater. There's kids everywhere. Okay, so to me, it didn't make sense. The only issue that we had with this bill, and I told Senator Lakey and the bill sponsor, is the bill requires that the teacher or staff member, whoever it is, have the firearm on their person. That's the only option. And I said, well, look, that's the smarter option. Okay, that's how I prefer, is I have it on me. I said, but what about a teacher who's much more comfortable with that thing in a fingerprint safe, bolted in their closet or under their desk or somewhere very discreet where nobody can see it? I said, now, if that guy comes in or gal comes in and starts shooting and you've got it in a safe, you're screwed. Okay, I think everybody understands that. But for all the other teachers that could possibly be carrying, they may be much more comfortable locking it up, and they will have plenty of time to go retrieve that if they want. I said, but now you've limited it, and you've basically told the public, and you've told everybody, including the kids, it's on their person. If they're carrying, they have it, or they're supposed to, right? And so I'm like, I would, whatever that person's more comfortable with, I would want them to do. I also want them to do as much training as possible. This is only requires an enhanced permit. That's fine. Like, again, I'm a constitutional carry guy. However, if you're going to carry on a school, you should go and do active shooter training. You should do lots of training, tons of it, because it is a very different scenario. Okay. And so, at the end of the day, again, this goes to that reactionary thing. Everybody's like, whoa, guns in schools. We don't want to do that and everything. And I'm like, you've got to upend this thinking. You've got to change the game. Okay. You've got to help these bad guys and gals understand. And I'm saying gals because right now there are female active shooters. Okay. It used to be a lot more just male active shooters. But our society has screwed up our kids so much that it's just getting worse. And so Um, it's fascinating to me because I've gone to college campuses and done like YouTube videos where I'm talking to these just full-blown liberals about school shootings. And I was in Wisconsin at the University of Wisconsin doing this. And at this time we were talking about students being able to carry to defend themselves. And it was really interesting because I said, let's pretend we're all in a classroom and there's literally, and in most of the classrooms there's one way in and one way out. Okay. There's not an alternate exit. And that's the case in most classrooms. I said, what if, somebody comes in right now and starts shooting? I said, who's going to die? And if nobody is armed, well, everybody's probably going to die. I said, correct. I said, now, what if that person comes in and I have a gun? Well, you might accidentally shoot somebody. I said, yes, that's a risk. And I hope as a gun owner, you understand that. Like, somebody came in this room right now, it'd be a horrible idea for them. but, you may, trying to stop that person, you may end up accidentally hitting someone and you have to live with that for the rest of your life. Okay. And I said, sure. So let's pretend that the bad guy comes in and he shoots and, there's 20 kids in the room. And I said, and he shoots the first 3 and I accidentally shoot 2 kids, but then I finally take down the shooter. I said, is that worse or better than the first scenario where nobody is armed? And you just see they're going, oh crap, my Common Core math won't even fix this one. Like they don't know what to, well, that's better then. And I said, okay. I said, do you understand now why we're saying like having a gun in the room, even if half the people end up dying between the active shooter and me, some people are going to live. And you can't tell me that that's worse than everybody dying. And so I have the same thing here. I said, think about a teacher who literally, this law passes and this teacher goes and gets their enhanced permit. They throw 99 rounds down range, which is a total joke. Everybody knows that's not real training. Okay. And they carry on to their school. Now, would I prefer that they do a lot more training? Of course. But am I going to care if my kid is in that person's class and she's got a gun? I'd be like, hell no. Like, I am happy that there's a fighting freaking chance. Okay. That I don't care if she's going, like when we were in Iraq, we used to always make fun of the terrorists because they'd literally close their eyes and just start yelling Allah Akbar and just spraying bullets everywhere, trying to hit us and stuff. So I don't care if she closes her eyes and starts shooting at the guy. Like, that is better than him just coming in unimpeded and shooting people. So I don't know where the bill is. I'm kind of shocked that they went for this because it's such a controversial issue. But we'll see. Okay. I'm going to touch on this briefly because I know there's some questions about this, and then we got to get to one more thing and then we can go back to this. So we put the Convention of States. This has been, I know, an issue that has been pushed here for quite a long time. And I put out a video, I remember last week, to try and start talking about this and helping people understand, at least from our perspective, our concern with the Convention of States. Okay. And it's really not the people pushing the Convention of States that I'm concerned about. Okay. There are concerns more or less with what happens once we get there, because quite frankly, I don't think anybody really knows. We have an idea. We know what the rules say are supposed to happen. We haven't done this for a really long time. But set all of that aside. Okay. You can even set aside maybe the consideration we have and the concerns over Second Amendment issues. Because I think that's been a concern from gun owners for a long time. So I want to make very clear, because I know there's COS people here. I don't have any issues with them. My issue is not with them. My issue is not, I think they have a great heart and their intentions are all in the right place. I'm coming from a political perspective. I know how this game works. Okay. First of all, if you told me that a bunch of freaking Thomas Jeffersons were going to the COS, I'd be like, let's do it. Okay. But that's not the case. Even here in Red, Idaho, in the mock COS, when I hear that like Senator Lakey is going, and I'm like, oh, good gosh. I'm like, does anybody know what's happening with the gun issues we try to push? Like, he tries to water down all of our gun issues. He's terrible. Like, I would not literally, if somebody brought up a change to the Second Amendment, he would probably support it. I'm just saying. So, but set all aside, I'm just going, I don't trust anything that's coming, anybody that's going there. And I don't trust what's going to come out of it. And again, because here's the thing, the COS people are going to be honest, good people who are trying to do the right thing. The other side doesn't give a damn. They don't. They will spend their way into victory. and they want to take down our country. Okay. Everybody that's been deeply involved in activist politics, you understand that. The other side does not care. They don't care about your freedom. They don't care about your liberties. They want us to be Venezuela. That's the end game. That's always been the end game. And so for us, the real concern is what comes out of that. Senator Treacle, I saw online, had asked a question. Well, do you really think that 38 states would ratify a change to the Second Amendment? And I said, yes, 100%. This is the red state that passed Medicaid expansion. This is the red state that a legislature has not gone back and said, what the hell are we doing? Like, we're not doing this. Like, sorry, I try to be a little cleaner here. Fired up. All right. So I said, if you change the Second Amendment to something where it was very slim, very vague, and maybe it wasn't like a full ban, do I trust the people there that they would stop that? Not really. But let's pretend that it gets through. Okay. In a state like this, could Michael Bloomberg and George Soros spend God's money and just blast ads and lie, cheat, and steal? Again, when they run ballot initiatives here, they have a giant propaganda machine to push through all their crap, okay, with the media. They have volunteers that we don't have. They have the organizations that we don't have. They have the money that we don't have or we're not willing to spend. So you don't think that if some change or some bad amendment comes out of there that they won't get it through? They absolutely will. They will convince people because there's the population is not like you guys. They're not here awake, ready for the fight. That's my big concern. It's not with the people trying to push it. And I hope that we're not fighting each other over this issue. I get it. We can have good discussions, hard debates. That's fine. But some lawmakers in this building are telling me that they are being threatened, that if they don't support it, that they're going to get taken out. And I'm like, what freaking good is that going to help? I'm like, you're going to get replaced with some rhino who's coming out of there, which leads me to one of my big concerns is one of the issues they want to do is term limits. Okay. Now, I love term limits and I also hate them because you have to understand the double-edged sword with term limits. Okay. You should be terming people out. Okay. The voters should be terming people out. But it's nice to think about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Mitt Romney and all these freaking dinosaurs that just stay in their places forever. It's nice to think about them leaving. Think about what comes after that, though. Understand that good people like Thomas Massey or Rand Paul or people like that, the people like that are few and far in between. There is a freaking treadmill of people willing to come and do the establishment's bidding, willing to come and do the lobbyist bidding, willing to come and just keep that big government moving. Tons of them. They'll just keep coming and coming. Good people don't want to get elected, okay? Or they want to, but they don't want to go through the hell that it takes because you're attacked and maligned and dragged through the mud. Okay, I've been sued personally. So is Dustin. And I mean, it's not an easy life, and good people don't want to do that crap. So in Colorado, they brought in term limits, and then all the gun control got passed. There was like 3 guys who were stopping all of the bad stuff. They termed them out, brought in some establishment hacks, and Colorado lost. Okay. So there is just, I'm not saying that there isn't some benefit to term limits. Just think about the opposite side of what that means after those people are gone. Okay. So, oops, sorry. Let me get to our last subject and then we can go back to questions, and I'm happy to stay after as well and chat. Okay. Ranked choice voting. Stupidest idea ever. All right, we're all done. No, I'm just kidding. No, seriously, this is the end game. They've realized they can't win here at the Capitol. Like, their worst ideas just aren't ever going to get through. And ballot initiatives take a long time. So it's like, well, hey, if we do this ranked choice voting thing and open up the primaries and all that stuff, we can get rid of all the Scott Herndons and Tammy Nichols and Brandon Mitchells and all these people that are standing in the way of them doing whatever they want. This is it. This is the end game. Like, every egg you have should be in this basket right here. Every single one, which is, again, another reason why I'm like, I don't really want to talk about COS, to be honest. Like, I got to stop this thing, right? I got to expose ranked choice voting. This is the end of Idaho, 100%. And they're not even hiding it. In fact, a gal online who runs an anti-Tammy Nichols Twitter thing was like, yeah, well, of course we want more gun control. And this is going to help. I just admit it. They don't even hide it. Every egg you have, and I would even argue that this is far more important than the primaries to some extent. Okay, this changes everything. And within 1 or 2 election cycles, you would see the state completely different. And so, but there's no groups doing it. Nobody is exposing this thing. I know Dorothy is with the GOP, but that's not an effective strategy, okay? Because people just see the GOP. Okay, we've got an ad we're going to show you here in just a second. The end game is the same in all of these states, guys. It's always the same. They take over, they come after gun rights every single time. Don't let them gaslight you that that's not what this is about. It's about gun rights. It's about abortion. It's about turning us into California, to Oregon, to Washington. It's been the same playbook everywhere. This system is so dumb and so bad. Like even Gavin Newsom and the Democrats are like, in California, are like, this is horrible. Okay, Utah did a pilot program. I think there was 24 cities that were in this pilot program for ranked choice voting. 12 of them dropped it after the first election. They were like, this is insane. Okay, because it's extremely confusing. It doesn't make sense. And it really goes against our one person, one vote principle that we have as a country. There's now a bill in Utah to just ban it. They want to get rid of it. It's banned here in Idaho, by the way. Okay, so now you have to ask yourself, if it passes and gets on the ballot, and it will get on the ballot, I promise you, it's going to be on the ballot, do you trust that this legislature is going to overturn it? I don't, not a chance. It's the will of the people, right? That's what they always say. So if you are not all in on this, I don't know what to tell you. Like this is literally the fight that we have. Do not let them gaslight you into anything else, okay? I'm going to show you an ad that we had made. The ad we want to put on radio, TV, and we want to make a lot more of these ads. And it is pissing the liberals off to no end, which is really fun. So if you'll want to run, there you go.
Idaho is a conservative state. That's why leftist billionaires and woke progressives are pushing the ranked choice runoff scheme. Their goal, a radical anti-gun equity agenda. Repeal stand your ground in constitutional carry and pass red flag gun confiscation. This is about taking our guns, destroying our freedom, radicalizing Idaho, and changing our state forever. Stop them before it's too late. Open primaries and ranked choice voting will destroy Idaho. Don't let leftist billionaires turn our state into California.
Depends. I mean, radio ads are fairly cheap. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I would love to just from now until November just flood the airwaves, TV, everything with these types of ads, snail mail, doing rack cards, all that. I mean, our organization is all in. We're like, this is it. Like, this is literally the fight of our lives right here. And if gun owners get involved, it's over. Okay. It really is. If we wake up the gun owners, and that's why they're pissed. Like on Twitter, they were like, this is a lie. That's not what it's going to do. I'm like, you can't gaslight me. Like I've seen the results of what you guys do in other states. So, Brian, if you can, oh no, here I did. Sorry. So if you go to you might not be able to see the link there. But if you go on our website, you can find it. It's not hard. idahosa.org/RCV. We've got that ad there. It's also on our Rumble channel. And there's a petition as well that you can sign right there. You can stop right there, Brian. So the second line down there, the petition, you can donate if you want to donate to help us fight ranked choice voting specifically. So there's a whole section there for you guys to help out. But yeah, I mean, give me 1 second or I'll forget, man. Like I'm my brain I'm like Joe Biden sometimes. So I gotta trip off the platform here and then we'll have the whole thing. So, but yeah, I mean, that's to us, we're going, let's do it. I mean, honestly, if I was going to blast this entire state doing this, we're looking at $100,000 easily that it's going to take to really flood this entire state and wake people up to what's happening. So, real quick before I take the last couple of questions. Oh, I guess we got a little bit of time here. Let's go to the Liberty membership. So if you guys aren't, by the way, people always ask me, how can I help? I mean, there's lots of ways to help, okay? Financially, talents, whatever you have, prayers. I mean, look, I could use a lot of prayers always. I'm a disabled veteran standing here. I can't stand like this. Like I have 3 shattered discs in my back. Like it hurts like hell to stand here like this. But it's okay because my love for you guys, my love for the 2A, for this organization, I just power through it and I have for a long time. So, but you know, it's hard in a state like this because people think, oh, Idaho, we're good. We're guns. We don't need to do anything. And I'm going, oh my gosh. I'm like, yes, our gun laws are now really great because of you guys, by the way, because of this organization fighting down here. But now we have to save it. We have to save it from ranked choice voting and stuff like that. There's always work to do. And, you know, if we go away, it's not good for our state. A lot of people will not get in the trenches like we do and fight like we do. They won't go get sued by some crazy guy in Utah over mean tweets and mean articles, right? I mean, like I went through 2 years of a lawsuit against me and my family because we don't care. Like for us, for me, like what else am I going to do, right? If I quit, is that what God wants me to do? He just want me to quit and give up? Or does he want us to give everything we have to defending the family, to defending our kids, to defending our freedoms and liberties, right? Our founding fathers bled and sacrificed. Many others have bled and sacrificed. It's our turn, okay? We are at war. We're at war not only with liberals, but we're really at war with an evil entity on the other side that wants to destroy everything that we have. And so if you're not all in, it's time to go all in. We have Liberty memberships. It's our monthly membership. It's $10 a month. I know, where'd she go? Oh, there she is over there. If you're a member of the ISAA, would you mind raising your hand? Or you don't have to, but so awesome. So first of all, thank you guys for being members of the ISAA, but our Liberty membership hats are kind of our unique membership. They only come with that. It's $10 a month. You know, if that's worth it to you, we have yearly memberships if you want to do that instead, or you can donate more. We have some people that donate $100 a month. But every dime stays here in Idaho and goes towards this fight. Me and my wife, my kids, you know, I'm paid now. I did it free for 8 years and I get paid a little bit, me and my wife, but we're up till midnight, especially during session, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, stuffing packages and envelopes. And we're giving everything we have to you guys because we love you and we appreciate all of our members and donors. But right now I'm saying step up. Give everything that you have. I'm not saying like just give us all your money, but really think about what's important and where you want to go. So, yes, sir.
I have a good authority that if you have signers remorse, you can officially have your name removed. And I do think that word should be spread around.
Signers for what? I didn't hear.
Remorse. You realize that.
Oh, correct. Yeah.
Oh, no, I wish I did. You can have your name.
Correct. Yeah, and look, Dorothy, I know she's doing everything she can. She's trying to, I think, decline to sign. I would just get ready for the real fight. They are going to get it on the ballot. They have every single time. They have the organization. They have the paid volunteers. I would try to stop it from getting on the ballot, certainly, but just understand that, I mean, the odds are they're going to get it on the ballot. They're already well over their goal where they need to be right now in terms of making it on time. So I would. Anyway, but yes, you can actually get it removed. So, yeah.
I just want to say I came here in 2017, and I don't know if Greg remembers, but he had a big rally starting out at the Boise, whatever.
Yeah,
I asked him, can I take pictures? And he, I felt uncomfortable to start taking pictures, and he agreed. And so I know all the efforts he's put in to his our Idaho Second Amendment. And so, one last thing, I want to congratulate Greg. He has a family of veterans. His dad and his brother went to war together, and then him and his 3 brothers went together. And I am so proud of his family for serving this country. And I think we give a round of applause.
Yeah, I guess I should be repeating some of this into the mic for people that can't hear. Yes.
Yeah, I want to go back to the House Bill 415.
Oh, Brian, can you pull back the,
enhanced concealed carry in schools.
okay,
And the old thing about wanting to see more training in that bill, I get it, we all want people to be trained. But you talked about it's better if there was a little collateral damage than if everybody got shot.
correct.
But the little sticky facts are these pesky little things that,
Sure.
that like Patty Ann Lodge and some of those want to forget about. But the average enhanced concealed owner, and I think this was a John Locke statistic, and I know what I looked at it. It was either 6 times or 8 times more range time they spend than the average law enforcement officer.
Correct. Yeah.
So I, quite frankly, if I want somebody to come to the rescue of my school child, although he's graduated now, but still, I would trust that enhanced person to be as accurate or more accurate than the Leo that takes 15 minutes to get there.
Yeah, and you actually brought up a good point. I don't want to get on this too much, but John Lott has also, if you guys don't know, he does crime statistics and research, a lot of really good stuff, and the gun grabbers all hate him, obviously, but he also showed that the more training requirements that there are, the less people will do it. They won't do it. They're like, I'm not going to go through all that hassle. Whereas, I would rather do it. So where guys who do firearms training, I would rather reach out to them and say, hey, look, if a teacher wants to do active shooter training, offer it to him for free, or offer it to him at a discounted price. So let's do that rather than putting all these, if you force the training requirements, nobody will do it. And then we're in the exact same situation.
If the district wants that, offer it to your staff that don't charge.
Correct. Yeah. Yes, sir.
On one of your slides, is there a precedent in law to hold a third party liable for the actions of another? Is there a precedent?
On which bill are you talking about?
You're talking about a manufacturer of a weapon or a cell phone. How can a third party be held liable for the actions of another?
That's a great question. I don't have a good answer. Not that I'm aware of. Yeah, well, I'm not that I'm aware of, but that's what I don't want to set the precedent, right? And that's basically what they're doing. Are we going to sue the cars when somebody's drunk driving and the cars didn't have an alcohol smell device in their cars? Like, it's freaking insane. Like, if Pornhub was creating their own device and selling it, then I would say, sure, you could sue Pornhub for manufacturing a device that did not keep minors from, but like, you're going to sue the gun manufacturer for not putting the buttons on the rifles. I mean, it's totally insane. Yeah, so I don't know who was first. Yes, sir.
I lived in Colorado a long time, long enough to see the transition that took place there. I fought it. I was part of that initiative. I see the same thing happening here, and it's already taking place in Boise, in case you're not aware. And this bill that you're talking about, we lose that, we lost our state.
Correct.
You're right on target for what you're saying. It's very true. I want to ask you one question. I just received this updated report. I almost can't believe that this is happening in our nation. I can't say he's the president of the United States. I'm not saying he's mine. But there's a small arms treaty that he wants to send out right now.
Correct. The UN small arms
by the
treaty.
UN.
Yep.
To control our weapons.
Correct.
How
Yeah.
can he do that?
Well, he can, but I mean, it's not really him. We all know there's a bunch of puppets behind him controlling him or whatever. So we got like 1 or 2 minutes. Teresa, go ahead.
Right, thank you very much. I really appreciate all the work you're doing and going through some of these bills that are pretty complicated and complex. And especially that you're thinking about the consequences of these bills. And then I appreciate hearing your concerns about the SDR 112.
Yeah.
That one's huge, but I
Sure.
have to correct you.
Sure.
Because the 3 topics for the connection states resolution is to limit the federal government.
Sure.
The Second Amendment isn't even fall into any of those topics. It's not even germane to the convention. And then term limits, the thing to think about with term limits is everybody automatically thinks about a set time. What about cognitive assessment?
Sure.
What about an age limit to cap someone's ability to serve in a public office?
Yeah.
What about term limits for our Supreme Court justices, our federal judges?
You're
Anybody else? No, but everybody did that. So, I want
Sure.
people to think about that whole convention of states. We can actually address ranked choice voting if we call it convention. We can address the funding, the spending.
Yeah.
But we can stop any state overreach in terms of affecting
Sure. Yeah, no, again,
Delegates, it's the state's legislators have to vote.
Correct.
And it's each of 5 delegates that can go.
Correct. Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
there's one state, one zone. So there's lots of guardrails.
Sure.
It's a long game. It's a long shot. The more we push, the more we put pressure on Congress.
Sure. I understand. Yeah. And again, I don't have a fight with you, and we're good friends and all that stuff, but I understand. So, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I'm happy to stay after and answer more questions, but we have to end at 1 technically. So I got to give Brian the end there. So thank you.
Well, that was great. That's, I mean, what more can I say to add to that? That was Greg Pruett of the Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. It's easy to find online. Just search for Idaho Second Amendment Alliance. It's the premier gun rights organization here in Idaho. And hopefully with your support, they will continue to be. Same thing with Idaho Freedom Foundation. Like I said, it is supported by people like you. And as long as you keep supporting them, they will continue to help you hold lawmakers accountable, bring you information about what's going on here, and do deep dives on some of these bills. You know, sometimes lawmakers like to name a bill a nice thing. You know, this is the Gun Protection Act, but then it turns out, it's actually a registry or something like that. And that's one of the jobs of Idaho Freedom Foundation, is to bring you the actual truth of what's going on. So thank you again for coming. We will be back here next week. We've got a couple of good shows lined up. Next week, we're going to look at some of the implications for privacy and security in some upcoming legislation and some ideas. So you don't want to miss that. With that, I wish you a happy rest of the day.